Namaskar friends, welcome to the channel JIV and CIV Made Simple. In this particular video, we are going to cover our memory based question which appear in the CCP examination which were held on 24th January. So if you see, I have created a separate playlist for previous year question. I have covered all the question paper of the examination which held from February 2025. So you can go through the playlist and see what is the level of the question. Exactly as you can see, there will be a transition in the level. Earlier they used to ask simple question, but now they have shifted to case study based question, and that's why I have bring more and more case study based question for your practice purpose. So make sure that you watch the video till the end and try to solve the question on your own first and then see the explanation to take maximum use of this video. So let's get started with our very first question. As you can see, so they have given that there is a Sparkle electronic manufacturer. Now this particular Spark Gear Electronic, they manufactured a Bluetooth speaker, and the company rely on the team of independent sales agent. So, and obviously the sales agent work on the commission. Now their management is considering a structural change to their compensation model. So you can see now selling price per unit have given, actually it is $200 per unit, right? Now variable cost per unit, it's obviously $130, out of which $20 is commission. So then we have the proposed variable cost this much. Original fixed cost is so proposed variable cost means what? No commission, fixed salary increase. Original fixed cost was $450,000. Proposed fixed cost was $6 lakh. Now the question they are asking you, if the Spark Gear Electronic expect to sell 8,000 units next year, which compensation structure will yield a high operating profit and by how much? So they have given the original plan, the proposed plan. Original plan is a commission based, proposed plan is a salary based. They have given original variable cost, proposed variable cost, original fixed cost, proposed variable, proposed fixed cost. So originally they work on the commission. Now they want to change it to the salary model, that is a salary based or compensation model, that both are the same thing, right? So basically there is a transition in the model that is happening here, right? So you have to tell me that which compensation structure will hold a higher operating profit, whether it is commission based or salary based, and by how much, right? The four options have been given. Now let's go through the given selling price per unit, which is $200, right? And also variable cost per unit they have given $130, right? And the fixed cost they have given is how much? $450,000. Fine. Now can you tell me what is the profit per unit? What is the profit per unit? So profit per unit is 200 minus 130, which is equal to $70. Fine. $70 per unit. This is the profit per unit. Now we need to multiply this $70 with 8,000, right? We need to multiply it with 8,000 because they are selling 8,000 unit next year, right? So profit per unit we have got 70 rupees per dollar, because selling price minus variable cost is the same as the profit. No, actually this is not complete profit. To be more precise, I will say contribution per unit, not profit. Profit is a wrong word to say here. Contribution per unit is 70 rupees per dollar. Now, so that is per unit. So if multiply it by 8,000 unit, so how much it will give us? It will give us 5,60,000. So this is the entire compensation, and you know in the compensation part there are some part of the fixed cost also. So what we need to do, out of 5,60,000 which is our contribution, we need to subtract the fixed cost portion. What is the fixed cost they have given? So I think let me show you the fixed cost they have given is you can see, yes. So we are taking original only right now, 4,50,000. So just subtract 4,50,000. So this will give you the actual profit, total profit, right? So total profit is how much? I think it is $1,10,000. So this is the profit under the original condition. Now let's switch our focus to the proposed plan, right? Proposed plan. So in the case of proposed plan, you know, no commission is there. In earlier there was commission, $20 commission was there. Now in the proposed, commission has been removed. Fixed salary has been increased. Earlier fixed cost was how much? $450,000. Now it is $6 lakh. Now let's compute. So what about the variable cost? See, variable cost is new. Variable cost is 110. So first of all, selling price in the proposed plan is how much? Selling price is $200 only. Selling price remain unchanged. What is the new variable cost? Earlier it was 130. Now it is just 110 because commission has been removed, right? Now what is the new fixed cost? So the new fixed cost they have given is $6 lakh. Now first of all we have to compute the profit, right? So to get the profit, first of all let's calculate the contribution per unit. So what is the contribution per unit? This is selling price per unit minus variable cost per unit, right? So that is how much? Very simple. See, the contribution per unit is now how much? 90 rupees or $90 per unit, right? So what is the profit? So overall profit is same, just multiplied by 8,000. So 90 multiplied by 8,000. This is your total contribution. Subtract the fixed cost, which is 6 lakh. So that will give us how much? 7,20,000 minus 6 lakh. So that is how much? $1,20,000. That is our profit. Okay. So now proposed planned profit is 1,20,000. Original planned profit was 1,10,000. So obviously you can see proposed plan has increased by $10,000. So proposed plan win by $10,000. So what is the correct answer to this question? The correct answer is proposed plan by $10,000. Option number B is the correct. Right. So just you have to remember this formula and that's it. What is the formula? Right. So let me just write down the formula for you. So just remember that operating profit is equal to contribution per unit multiplied by number of unit subtract fixed cost. And how to compute contribution per unit? So to compute contribution per unit, you have to subtract the selling price minus variable cost. So these two things you have to remember and you can solve any question easily, right? I hope it is clear. Friends, if you are looking for compilation PDF of all such kind that I am explaining, you can check out our CCP comprehensive course, which include PDF, videos, mock tests. As you can see, I have separately created folder. So there are 11 previous year question PDF. You can check out. All these things are available in the form of PDF, covering all the questions which have appeared in the 2025 examination. Then is a separate folder of quizzes and mock test where you can practice quizzes, time-based quizzes. Like here you can see module-wise quizzes I have created, A, B, C, and D, so on. Right inside it, and then further we have created a folder for PDF. In the PDF folder you get PDF module wise arrange A, B, C, D. Inside each module you get unit wise, like unit 1, unit 2 similarly. Inside each unit you get separate theory PDF, separate MCQ PDF, and then further we have videos also. So you can check out the entire course. In the video similarly I have created module wise list and I have uploaded videos covering entire the explanation of the theory content. So you can check out the course in the description section. For those who will enroll early, there is a certain discount, and as the course progresses the price will increase. So you can check out the link in the description section, which is telling you what is the margin, right? Is the new contribution margin ratio if the company move forward with the salary based plan and remove the 10% commission. So let's rewrite the number after removing the commission, because they want to get rid of the 10% commission. Selling price is $200, right? New variable cost is $110. Earlier it was $130, right? So what is the contribution per unit? Contribution per unit is 200 minus 110, which is $90, right? Now what is the CM ratio? The question is about contribution margin ratio. You know what it means? CM ratio simply means in the numerator you write the contribution, in the denominator you write the selling price. That's it, right? So let's put in the value. So contribution they have given 90, selling price they have given 200, multiplied by 100, that will be 45% is the correct answer. So the new CM ratio after removing commission is 45%. I hope it was the easiest one to solve, 45%. So you can think of the formula as C by S, right? CS, contribution over selling price. That means profit per unit from each rupee of the sale, right? So that simply means profit, right? Profit per unit from each rupee of the sale. So this CM ratio tells us what percentage of the sale become contribution. That is what this ratio tells us. In the numerator we write the contribution, in the denominator we write the sale. What percentage of sale become contribution? And contribution you know it very well. Contribution formula is selling price minus variable cost. So lower variable cost increases contribution, and obviously it increases the VC decreases, C increases, CM ratio increases. Very important. Now the third part of the question is, at what sales volume would the management be indifferent between the two plan, right? So this is called indifference point. Sometimes the question may be asked, calculate the indifference point. So think of it like this. Proposed plan has a higher fixed cost. How much higher? $150,000 higher fixed cost, right? And proposed plan has a lower variable cost. Fixed cost higher and variable cost decreases by how much? 20 rupees per unit or $20 per unit, not rupees. So the question is, how many unit must we sell so that the extra fixed cost is recovered through the saving of $20 per unit? So it is very simple, very important thing. Let me tell you how to find out the indifference point. So indifference unit is equal to, in the numerator you write increase in fixed cost, in the denominator you write saving in variable cost per unit. Put in the value. So increase in fixed cost is how much? $1,50,000. And saving in variable cost is how much? $20. So the ratio become how much? 7,500 units. That is called indifference unit. So at 7,500 unit, both plan give the same profit, right? So at 7,500 unit, right? 7,500 unit is the indifference point. Yes, C is the correct answer. So whenever the question asks you indifference point, just remember the formula. What is the formula? Extra fixed cost upon variable cost saved. This is the formula, right? So indifference point is the point where both plan give the same profit. Formula is delta of fixed cost upon delta of variable cost. Always use absolute difference, right? Very important. Now the third question of the same case study is, if the company switches to the proposed plan and expect to sell 10,000 units, what is the margin of safety? Expressed as a percentage. So again, this question is about, margin of safety. In this question, the company has switches to the proposed plan, and now they expect to sell, budgetary sale is 10,000 unit. What is the break-even point? Break-even point is 6,667 unit. First of all, you know what is the meaning of margin of safety? Let me just explain. So what is this margin of safety? Basically, it tells us how much actual sale can fall before the company start making loss. How much actual sale can fall before company start loss. That is what, margin of safety. So in simple word, it is a safety buffer between the actual sale and the break-even sale. How to compute the margin of sale? Margin of sale is, budgeted sale minus break-even sale divided by budgeted sale. So now let's put in the value. What is the budgeted sale here? Budgeted sale here is a 10,000. What is the break-even sale here? 6,667 upon 10,000 into 100. That become how much? 33.3%, right? That become 33.3%. So margin of safety is 33.3%. Yes, A is correct. See, budgeted sale minus a break-even sale. So break-even sale is this much, budgeted sale is this much. Just subtract both of them, divide by budgeted sale. That become 33.333%. Now let's have a look at the next question. So actual minus BEP divided by actual, right? Please remember it. So margin of safety tells us how safe the business is from the loss. And remember, high margin of safety, right? Obviously it indicate lower risk. And the formula is very simple: actual sale minus break-even sale upon actual sale. Now next, let's have a look at the next question. So this is again a case study based question. This will help you understand the basic concept here. Let me explain. Let me explain what this question is all about. So they are saying that, Jodak Textile is a gold card holder with an existing Samsung packing credit, that is pre-shipment limit. Last time, many questions were asked from pre-shipment. So have a look. So basically Jodak Textile is a gold card holder exporter and already has EPC. How much EPC? 500 lakh. Now due to sudden export order, they need extra fund urgently. So they want to use the standby limit facility under the RBI gold scheme. Because they have extra order, right, that require immediate funding. So they want to utilize the standby credit limit provision. Now the question is, according to the RBI guideline for the gold card scheme, what is the maximum total credit, regular plus standby, that Jodak Textile can access for this urgent order? And what is the maximum time the bank should ideally take to process this specific request? Very good question. It will check your understanding of the gold card scheme very clearly. So please remember, as per the RBI guideline, what does it say? That bank can allow a standby limit. Bank can allow a standby limit of how much? 20% of the sanction export credit limit. So that means 20% of the sanction export credit limit. Now let's compute the same in this case. So as you can see, what is the SS limit? SS limit is 500 lakh. This is the SS limit. Right. Now, what is the standby limit? A standby limit is just 20% of this 500 lakh, which is how much? 100 lakh. That is standby limit. So what is the total credit available? Total credit is 500 plus 100, which is equal to 600 lakh. So the maximum total credit that Jodhai Textile can access is 600 lakh. Very simple. Access limit is 500 lakh. Standby limit is 20% of that, which is 100 lakh. Just add both of them. This will give you 600 lakh. So the maximum total credit is 600 lakh. What about the time for processing? Yes, very good. See, how much time should the bank ideally take to process this request? So let me tell you the rule. As per the RBI guideline, right? Gold card scheme holder, right? Basically, fast track norm is the fresh sanction. Renewal, enhancement for gold card holder, and it should be processed within 25 days. Even though you know it very well that a standby limit are meant to be quicker, the official RBI benchmark mentioned in is 25 days. What is the answer? 25 days. 600 lakh and 25 days. Right. So maximum total credit is 600 lakh. Maximum processing time is 25 days. That's it. So please remember a standby credit, a standby limit credit. What is the gold card? For gold card, extra 20% buffer. Now friends, have a look at the next question. So Mrs. Anjali, right, he get a 40 lakh collateral free loan under CGTMSE. Right. Now her business failed and the account turned into default. Right. Due to severe market downturn, the business failed and account turned into default. So we need to find out how much CGTMSE will be paid to the lender and what AGF. So under the enhanced coverage guideline, what is the maximum amount the trust that CGTMSE will settle for the lender, and what is the maximum annual guarantee fee? Right. So that Anjali would be likely be charged compared to general mail entrepreneur. So option they have given 30 lakh AGF of 1.35%, 36 lakh AGF at reduced price, 34 lakh and 40 lakh. Very good question. So let's understand the special rule for the women under CGTMSE, because this question is most frequently asked. So have a look. See, CGTMSE give higher protection to women borrower. Normally, one lender, they may get 75% to 85% guarantee cover. But for women entrepreneur, the scheme give 90% guarantee cover, cover. So obviously, how to find the settlement amount? Very simple. The guarantee settlement is equal to loan amount multiplied by guarantee percentage. So what is the loan amount? Loan amount is 40 lakh multiplied by 90%, which is equal to 36 lakh. So that means in the case of default, CGTMSE pay the lender how much? 36 lakh. Now what about AGF? AGF is called annual guarantee fee. Yeah. If you talk about the AGF, so AGF, what is AGF? So AGF is charged by CGTMSE, right, for providing the guarantee. AGF is charged by CGTMSE for providing the guarantee. For women-led unit, AGF is reduced compared to other. That is means, that AGF is a charge, annual guarantee fee charged by the CGTMSE for providing the guarantee. And for women-led unit, AGF, what happened to AGF? It is reduced compared to other. Right. So typical range for women entrepreneurs start from 0.37% depending on the loan slab. Whereas for male borrower, it can go up to 1.35%. See, it start with 0.37%, and for male borrower, it can go up to 1.35%. Please remember it. So what is the correct answer to this question? So if you look at the correct answer, see, option number B is the correct one. 36 lakh, 90% cover of 40 lakh, and AGF had a reduced rate. Yes, B is the correct one. So please remember, there is a memory trick, you can just recall it regarding women, regarding CGTMSE scheme. Women, right, 90% till 50. 90% till 50. Just remember the line. Women entrepreneur get 90% cover up to 50 lakh. They get enhanced coverage under the CGTMSE. For loan up to 50 lakh, the coverage is 90%. Right. And women borrower pay low AGR starting near 0.37%. Now have a look at the next question. Very good question it is. So for 4 women business led entrepreneur, right? 4 women business led entrepreneur. They have applied for 1 crore loan under CGTMS. Right? They have applied for loan under the CGTMSC. So applicant, they have given that first applicant, we must identify which applicant are not eligible. See, first applicant is a micro unit manufacturing a specialized surgical marks. The applicant number 2 is a small scale startup. Applicant number 3 is a retail trade shop, and 4 number is a small scale unit, right? And or obviously it is focused on the vocational and training and education. So basically, which of the based on the CGTMSC eligibility criteria, which of these women-led entrepreneur would not qualify for credit guarantee cover? Option they have given 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 4, only 4. Very good question. See, basically, CGTMSC cover mainly 2 sectors. So did it give you wholly fully fledged answer understanding of the CGTMSC? So CGTMSC, it cover primarily for manufacturing sector and the services sector, right? Suppose if a business so let me tell you that suppose there is a business fall in either of these category, either manufacturing or services, right? So eligible. So CGTMSC clearly excludes some category. What are the categories that are not included in CGTMSC? Like real trade, retail trade, sorry, just not real trade, it is retail trade. Retail trade not included, education institution not included, right? SHG not included, and agriculture is not included, right? So now let's check each and every applicant. So if you look at the applicant number 1, which is the manufacturing, yes, they are eligible. If you look at the applicant number 2, startup, so this is a service based business, so they are eligible. Applicant number 3, retail trade, no. Retail trade is specifically excluded. What about vocational training? No, this is also not, right? So what is the correct answer? Correct answer is option number 1 and 2, that is A, right? A is the correct answer. See, manufacturing and services in, M and S in, right? And R and E out. So manufacturing and services in, retail and education out, right? So CGTMSC cover manufacturing and services sector. It exclude retail, trade and education or training business. Please understand it. Now have a look at the next question. Very good conceptual question based on the priority sector lending. See, basically what is happening here, a scheduled commercial bank is there in Mumbai and population is more than 1 crore, and basically they are processing 3 home loan, right? They are processing 3 home loan. In the recent examination, such type of case study are being asked. So make sure that you practice this question, and if you want study material for practice purpose, you can check out our course in the description section, or you can WhatsApp me on this particular number. Now friends, let's come back to the question. So applicant number A want a loan of 48 lakh for flat costing 60 lakh. B want a loan of 55 lakh for flat costing 62 lakh. C want a loan of 12 lakh for repairing the old ancestral home. So our question they have given, according to the latest RBI PSL guideline for center with a population of above 50 lakh, which of this loan can the bank classify under PSL? Under the priority sector. Applicant A and C, A and B, all of the above. Very good question. See, first of all, let me explain you the rule. What does the rule say? So that RBI give PSL status to housing loan if suppose home purchase, right, or construction, loan amount is less than 50 lakh and total cost of dwelling unit cost should be less than equal to 65 lakh. So earlier limit was 63 lakh, now many bank still refers to 65 lakh. What about repair and renovation? So for home purchase, I have just told you loan should be less than 50 lakh, dwelling unit should be less than 65 lakh. And what about the repair and renovation? So in that case, loan amount should go to maximum 15 lakh. And in this case, they are referring to Mumbai. Mumbai is a city with population more than 50 lakh, right? So if you look at the applicant number A, who is the applicant number A? As you can see, want a loan of 48 lakh for a flat costing 60 lakh. So I think loan is 48 lakh, which is within the 50 lakh limit. And the flat cost is also 63 lakh. This one is also within the 65 lakh limit. So yes, both conditions are satisfied. So yes, A is eligible for PSL. What about B? Want a loan of 55 lakh for a flat costing 65 lakh. But loan cost is more. So obviously PSL criteria fail. What about applicant C? 12 lakh So it is within the 15 lakh repair limit. So it is perfectly eligible. So we can see that final answer is option number B. Applicant A and applicant number C, both of them classify under PSL, right? So remember the memory trick. Let me give you a memory trick to remember this rule. Just remember 50, 65, 15, right? This is the rule for the big city, right? 50, 65, 15. For population more than 50 lakh, suppose the population exceed 50 lakh, right? 50 is the maximum loan. 50 lakh is the maximum loan for purchase. 65 is the maximum dwelling cost. And this 15 is the maximum loan for repair. Right, just remember it. I hope till now everything is crystal clear. Now let's switch our focus to the next question that we have. So you can see next question we have here, that Global Trader Limited open an LC. So this question pertains to LC, right? They open a letter of credit for $5 lakh. So you can see first question was BEP, second question was the gold card exporter. So different varieties of question we are doing, right? So Global Trader Limited open an LC for $5 lakh. The terms are CIF and the LC allow for parcel shipment. You can see free on board value they have given 1,80,000. Freight is 15,000. Insurance is 5,000. Similarly, FOB is 2 lakh. Freight is 20,000. Insurance is 6,000. Right? They have given. So what is the closing balance or unutilized limit of the LC after these two negotiations? So basically, two parcel shipment are negotiated. Right? That is what is happening here. These are the two parcel shipment. They are negotiated. We must calculate the closing balance, or either you call it closing balance or you call it the unutilized limit. Both are the same thing. So we have been asked to compute the closing balance or unutilized limit of the LC after these two negotiations. So you can see this LC is CIF. They have given the term are CIF. CIF means CIF means the value to be considered are three: cost, insurance, and freight. Right? Cost, insurance, and freight, three value. One is the FOB value, other is the freight value, and third one is the insurance value. Right? All these things are under CIF. You know it very well. Right? So whenever a LC is opened with CIF term, the bank must consider the total landed cost, not just FOB cost. So for each shipment we compute it. Let's compute it for shipment number 1. If you see the shipment number 1, we have FOB 1,80,000, freight 15,000, insurance 5,000. So 1,80,000 plus 15,000 plus 5,000. How much we get? We get 2 lakh. Right? Now shipment number 2. If we compute the same for shipment number 2, so just add all of them. 2 lakh plus 20,000, 2 lakh 20,000 plus 6,000. 2 lakh 26,000. Right? So total LC utilization is how much? Add both of them. See, first utilize how much? First utilize is 2 lakh. And second utilize is 2 lakh 26,000. So overall it become 4 lakh 26,000. So opening LC was how much? Think about it. So opening LC was I think 5 lakh. Just see, yes. They open an LC for $5 lakh. They have mentioned. Opening LC is $5 lakh. Right? And used, how much they have used? So they have used $4,26,000. So obviously how much is unutilized? That is what the question is asking you. See this, the method that we are using to compute it. Unutilized limit is how much? 5 lakh minus 4,26,000, which is equal to how much? 74,000. Zenith Manufacturing, right? So the question is, Zenith Manufacturing is reviewing its year-end financial to apply for a new expansion loan. Some data have been given here, like balance sheet highlight they have given. Cash and bank balance 15 lakh, sundry debtor 25 lakh, inventory 40 lakh, prepaid expense 10 lakh, sundry creditor 30 lakh, short-term overdraft 10 lakh, provision for tax is 10 lakh. So I request you to please take a screenshot of it, because these data will be used to solve the question. And so these are balance sheet highlights. Now capital and long-term debt they have given. Equity share capital 100 lakh, reserve and surplus 50 lakh, 10% long-term debenture, 12% long-term debenture. Now what is the current ratio? First question is current ratio they have asked. Right? So how to compute the current? First of all, see, for current ratio we need to identify the current asset. So which one is current asset? Right? Then only we can say that this is the current asset. So current ratio. So see, cash and bank balance, current asset. Okay. Sundry debtor, current asset. Inventory, current asset. Prepaid expense, current asset. Rest one is not. So just add all of them. 15, 25, 40 and 10. Just let me add it. I'm adding it here. Okay. So 15, 25 plus 40 plus 10, that is equal to 90 lakh, right? So 90 lakh. Now identify the current liability. What are the CL? See, this sundry creditor, current liability. Short-term balance overdraft, current liability. Provision for tax, current liability. Right. So these are the current liability. So add all of them. 30 plus 10 plus 10. Right. So current liability is how much? 30 plus 10 plus 10, which is equal to 50 lakh. Fine. That is current liability. Now it's very simple. Current ratio is current asset upon current liability. Current asset is 90 lakh. Current liability is 50 lakh. 90 upon 5. That will give you 1.80. Right. So the current ratio is 1.80. Fine. Option number A is correct. Friends, we have some more question available that will be covered in the paid batch. If you want to get access to that, you can enroll our paid batch. We will cover remaining question which we have recollected from a student who have appeared in the examination in the next part. Thank you. Have a nice day.